one pitfall that some people will fall into, and I don't want you to fall into this one, is, oh, that didn't work last week. I got to scrap that. Like, no. That's totally okay. You don't need to rechange anything. Just say, okay, last week I only did once. I'm going to recommit this week. Welcome to Tapping Creativity, a podcast for the creative community. Yes, it's a podcast for you. Whether you're looking for insight, inspiration, or community, you found yourself in the right place. My name is Matthew Temple. I am the host. And on this podcast, we go into questions, inspirations, challenges of the creative process. It's about connecting with other artists, hearing what other people are struggling with, their wins, their challenges. If you like what you hear, make sure you subscribe, follow, share. If you really like what you hear, give us a thumbs up or give us some kind of review. And with that, let's hop into this week's episode. Hey, and welcome to this week's episode of Tapping Creativity as we continue our little sub-series on the creative process that is based on what I call the 9 Ps for powerful and effective creating, something that I've developed over my creative career, a process that's worked for me, one that I have used in order to help mentees, employees, and collaborators as well as clients over the years. The book that I wrote based on that is The Creative's Handbook. You could always grab a copy if you want on my website, but if you don't want, fear not. Over this mini series that we're doing here, I'm actually going over pretty much everything that is in the book. I've also made some adjustments over the years since I wrote this and in working real life and continuing to hone my practice. So there's a lot of new stuff that I'm bringing into this series. So I'm thrilled that you're here. Today we're going to go into the 4th P of the 9 Ps of powerful and effective creating. And this one is preparation. Now, so far, none of these that we've really discussed here are the sexy ones. The why feels really good. Figuring out my purpose. Why am I doing that? That would have been that's the first P. If you missed it, certainly go back. That's really fun. And kind of brainstorming around the project and getting really clear on the project. Yeah, there's something to that, even though you might already have been or were very clear on it. There's certainly value to it. And then in last week's episode, the 3rd P, we went into planning. Not the most exciting part of the creative process. Enormously important, and equally, if not more valuable than it is important. Like, it is just so vital in sort of laying out how are we going to take those steps, how are we going to get there. And this week we kind of continue in that vein, which is the preparation, right? So in planning, you might be like, okay, where am I going to go on vacation, for example, right? Or when I go on a backpacking trip. So you do some of your planning. I'm actually on my way to go do a backpacking trip with some of my very close friends. So we made our plans. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to meet. These are all the things that are going to happen this weekend. We're doing it. And then I have to prepare, right? I had to buy my plane ticket. I have to get some gear that I don't have that I need, different things like that. So that's the preparation part. The first part of preparation is going to be creating your schedule. And this can be really exciting. There are those kind of things where you think, I really just want to be writing. Why am I wasting my time making a schedule when I just want to write? Well, because as we discussed before, having this framework basically says, I'm going to create something because if I'm feeling really inspired right now, and those times when you're in flow and you're inspired and, it's 10 o'clock at night and you know that you got to be up at 5 in the morning tomorrow and you should really finish, but you've got so much passion and energy and you're in flow, you don't want to put it down. And those times are great and they feel wonderful, but they're not here all the time. They're not even here most of the time. And one of the best ways to get them here more time, or if you want it to be most of the time, is by actually building that framework within which to work. Because also, if you give yourself a schedule and you can kind of come back to it, it's both going to be like, it kind of retains some of that energy. So if it's 10 o'clock at night and I'm just super excited, well, I might be able to do that for a week or two, but at a certain point, I'm going to get burnt out and I'm going to be exhausted. And then my project is going to languish. So I need to be able to find a way to basically say, you know what? I have such a great system that even though I'm still inspired at 10 o'clock at night, I'm putting my pen down, I'm going to get ready for bed and do those other things that I need to do because I know that I have a system by which I can come back and tomorrow evening I can start writing again. And the reality is we actually have this type of thing for almost everything we do in our life. So you pay your bills, you pay your rent on time. You have a schedule for making that happen. Your landlady or landlord expects the rent check on the first of the month. You've managed to always get that there. For the most part, you brush your teeth before you go to bed. You don't need to write it on your calendar because it's just ingrained in you. But all these things that work for us in our lives, we actually have done this work for. How do I get to work if I have a day job, or how do I get my kids to school? These are all things that we set up and we plan for, and it works in the rest of our lives. So we just have to bring that into the creative part of our lives and into our creative projects. Now, these things often will have some trial and error. Maybe you can find 15 minutes a day. And you know what? I find 15 minutes a day is really hard. I would rather work 45 minutes every 3 days instead of 15 minutes a day. But that's just me. You're going to find out what works for you. I forget who it was that said, just like write one word a day if you can't do anything, or write a sentence a day, write a page a day, whatever it is, even if it's one word. I think that was the joke, is that write one word a day, because you're always going to write more than one word. And it doesn't matter if it's junk or if it's crap. It matters that you're doing it, because you're always going to write crap anyways. So go ahead and write that crap down that way, because you can't write anything good until you've written crap first. Unless you're Jack London, the rest of us have to go back and sort of recraft, reiterate, whatever. That's just part of the creative process. You're going to write a bad first draft. You're going to write lots of bad words. So go ahead and do that. If it's 10, 15 minutes a day, you do that for you. If you can work 2 hours a day, you do that. I generally suggest that you don't try and work more than 5 days a week on it, because you also need rest, and we'll talk about that, the pleasure and leisure, which is one of the later P's. Take time to relax, take time to have fun. Those things are really important. Give yourself a weekend. You love your project, but you love a lot of things. You love ice cream, but if you eat ice cream 7 days a week, it doesn't end well. So give yourself that opportunity. Besides, if you do 5 days a week and you're saying, one day you feel sick, or one day something else comes up, you actually still have, I'm going to get up on Sunday morning a little bit and finish that thing I said I was going to do. Kind of helps you keep it in. Even 4 is really great, right? Give yourself a day off, or one day to be I just got to sleep in, or whatever that happens to be. The easiest and best thing to do is probably just to print out a 1 month calendar sheet, or if you have a calendar, you can kind of but it's nice to have one for a week. So if you print one out, and I can probably put one in the show notes as well, but just a 1 week where Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever. And what are you going to do? And go ahead and, fill that in. So as an example, there was a period of time where I was working at a production company, and, I went in and I did my day job, which was wonderful because I got to do things like developing and writing movies. So that was a cool day job, but it was still a day job, and it didn't mean I didn't have my own passion projects. So my Monday through Saturday was I got up first thing in the morning, I did my morning ritual with my meditation, and I did 30 minutes of writing. And that was it. And then I went out and did my day job, and, I did my evening meditations, and I did whatever else in between, but those things I made sure of. And then, the weekend was generally off. I did do my morning ritual pretty much every day, regardless, but I didn't have to do it in the morning on a Sunday if I didn't want to. But then Sunday, one thing I did do, and even though I didn't do some of my own creative work, was basically that was my time for me to really review my last week, my successes, my failures, what I needed to, rejigger, as it were, because I needed to protect my writing time. So I couldn't be doing my goal setting or revising my goals or reviewing my work during my writing time. So I left myself this time on Sunday. So that was just what I did. So for some people, a daily goal of time works best. Sometimes it's a completion goal. I'm going to write 400 words, or I'm going to write for 10 minutes, or, whatever kind of like works for you. Because if I'm writing a project, obviously at the beginning, it might be, I might do a word count or a page count, particularly if it's, if it's a screenplay, it's going to be a page count. But then I've written through it already, and now I need to go back and revise. So then I might give myself sort of time allotments or whatever. That's a little more specific to that. Now, these weekly check-ins that I do on the weekend, I think that's just really important. And, if you're married or if you have a significant other, some type of partner, it can actually be really fun to do with them. Or it can be an accountability partner. There might be somebody who you also know who is writing. And this can be, maybe there's a writer's group you want, to join, or you have a collaborator on a screenplay, or even just somebody who agrees to be an accountability partner who will agree, for the next 2 months, I'm going to text you every Sunday and ask you how you did, for example. But lately, Sarah and I haven't done this too much just because things have shifted in our lives. But generally, it was like once a week, we get together and we review what worked, what didn't. You can do it on your own. It's really nice to do it with somebody. But if you are starting a new practice or you're kind of bringing a new awareness into your practice, one of the things that can be really nice is just to be like, I got to figure out if it's working. Now, one pitfall that some people will fall into, and I don't want you to fall into this one, is, oh, that didn't work last week, I got to scrap that. Or I said I was going to work, 5 days a week last week and I worked one. I've already failed, so I might as well go get myself a jug of Ben and Jerry's and just eat that. No. That's totally okay. It's completely okay. You don't need to rechange anything. Just say, okay, last week I only did once. I'm going to recommit this week. And even if you think, God, I don't think I'm going to hit it this week, I'm going to change my whole schedule. Don't do that. So you know what, this week I know I kind of can't do it. I'm going to just for this week, because I know I've got a doctor's appointment, this or that, I can kind of go through and I can cross those out, and then I can still reflect on that the following week. I generally say try not to come to any snap judgments within less than a 4-week period. You might find over 4 weeks, like, oh, I'm seeing a pattern here. I'm too tired to do my writing in the morning, or I'm too tired in the evening, or, I wanted to record go do a studio session every Sunday, but Sundays is a tough one because that's when friends and family have get-togethers or whatever. So maybe I'm going to do every Sunday. Maybe I'm going to do one Sunday and then I'm going to do a Tuesday evening or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So you can look at it, but generally it's just so easy after a week or two to be like, oh, this isn't working. No, it's fine. Look at it, recommit. After about 30 days, be like, you know what? 5 days a week ain't happening. 2 days a week at the most. Great. Now you create that. And then at the end of 30 days, you can begin to see what can really become a part of your rhythm in your life. So that's pretty much it with the preparation. It's not sexy stuff. It's not the fun, exciting, I'm getting in flow and I'm making my amazing project stuff, but it is enormously, enormously valuable. And just go ahead and do it. You get it down on there and you just start showing up. You just show up for yourself. You've given yourself a schedule. Now you have your goals already. You have your milestones. You know what you're going to hit. And you know what? Now that you've laid this out and you go back and you say, oh, you know what? A couple weeks ago, I laid out my goals and my milestones, but I'm already off by 2 weeks, because I didn't have my schedule yet and I didn't know how I was going to do it. Just go back right now really quickly and update everything by 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever you need to do. Remember, this is a enjoyable process. It's got to be fun. It's going to be hard. It's going to challenge you. It is going to put right in your face certain parts of your weaknesses or patterns that you are not proud of or whatever. And great, we generally don't want to confront those things or look at those things, but by doing it, we actually get the opportunity to grow and shift and eventually get that project that you've been wanting to work on, or not wanting to work on, that you wanted to do, you can get it done. But now it's not about getting it done. The goal at this moment, right now, I'm going to say goal in air quotes, the purpose right now is not to complete it, but to do it. Because if you want to be a creative and you want to be a writer, or you want to be a musician, a filmmaker, anything, you can't be those things unless you're doing it. It's not having done it. You're not a writer because you wrote a book 20 years ago. You're not a filmmaker because you made a film 20 years ago. You're a filmmaker because you're making a movie. You're a musician because you're making music. So it's about what you're doing, not about what you have done, nor about what you will do or what you will complete. It's about doing it 5 days a week, like a job. Have an amazing couple of weeks implementing your schedule and beginning to see how you're hitting those milestones. And next week I will, or I guess we'll be in 2 weeks from now, but I will see you again and we'll really dive into process. This is where the fun really will begin. See you next time. Tapping Creativity is brought to you in part by We Strive, a nonprofit organization that works to lead the world towards stronger, healthier, and more sustainable community. We Strive is currently at an exciting juncture in that coming out of the pandemic, it is in a place of looking to see how can it now, as a established organization, be of greatest support to the creative communities as well as communities who are striving in any way they know how to engage in co-creating a better world. If you're interested in learning more, visit westrive.org.